Dameon Pierce was extremely impressive in his debut against the New Orleans Saints. Granted, this is preseason and he only ran the ball 5 times, but he looked really good on those carries. Those 5 touches went for 49 yards. Now, this won't be an excessively long video given the quantity of carries, but the reason why I wanted to break him down is simply due to his upside. He was a player I really liked out of Florida last year, and he was a guy I really wanted the Seahawks to target in the 3rd round. I love his potential. His ability to convert power using his lower body strength to break tackles is extremely impressive. When you compare him to the top running backs taken in the 2022 NFL Draft, Pierce had a 38% broken tackle rate. The average last year was just over 20, and Pierce's 38% was better than some of the best running backs that were taken. As a side note, check out Bijan Robinson's broken tackle rate last year. He was one of the best in all of college football, and I think he's going to be the first running back taken in the 2023 NFL Draft. With that being said though, let's look at Pierce's first carry. This came on 2nd and 3 in the 2nd quarter. The Saints were showing a 4-3 under front. You can identify this alignment by seeing the nose tackle shaded to the strong side while the 3-tech defensive tackle is lining up on the weak side of the play. The Texans really like to run zone runs out of this formation. Along with their zone runs like wide zone and mid zone weak, they also like to use a gap play with the lead blocker to open holes. That's the run they called in this one. The offensive line will attempt to form double teams as they work their way to the 2nd level. However, the Saints did a good job filling those gaps and forcing one-on-one blocks. For this play, Pierce will ID the Mike linebacker and then he'll cut based on his movement. Since both linebackers sprinted to the strong side of the formation while the weak side defensive lineman ran a 3-man stunt, this forced Pierce to cut backside. Pierce took the ball, pressed the line of scrimmage correctly, and then he angled his body back towards the C gap. Pierce then met the nose tackle in the hole. This is an obvious mismatch. Pierce cut off his left leg and he worked his way into the secondary. He then finished his run tough for a 20-yard gain. I really like this carry because it shows his full field vision. Not only that, but it also showed how he can execute on runs outside the Texans' standard zone run plays. As a side note, people are going to point out that he was rushing against the backups on the Saints defense. While that's true, Pierce's offensive line was also the Texans' number 2s as well. None of their starters were in at this point. Now, before we look at our second example, I want to give a huge shout out to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. HelloFresh is here to make eating better and easier. No grocery stores or stressful meal planning, just everything to prepare a wholesome, delicious meal all delivered to your door. This week, my wife and I tried the crispy buffalo spice chicken. It was so incredibly good. The produce was fresh and a ton of flavor, the meal was portioned perfectly for us to share, and the recipe was so easy to follow it made the entire experience effortless. They have foolproof step-by-step recipes that make cooking simple and fun. Not only was everything delicious, but HelloFresh helps you reach your goals. They offer vegetarian, pescatarian, and fit and wholesome options that make it easy to stick to your plan. With these options, you can feel good about your choices without sacrificing any flavor. If you go to HelloFresh and use my code SAMGOLD16, you can get 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 gifts. Again, go to HelloFresh.com and use my code SAMGOLD16 to get 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 gifts. Back to the breakdown, let's look at Pierce's second run. This came on the very next snap. The Texans once again lined up in the same offset I formation. Featuring a zone run on first down, the Saints lined up in a bare front. Bare fronts feature a nose tackle that's heads up to the center, while the 2 defensive tackles will either play heads up or on the outside shoulder of the guards. Bare fronts are great against zone teams. They prevent the offensive line from creating double teams at the point of attack. If a double team is stopped, then the second blocker can't climb up to the linebacker level. If this is the case, then this should give the linebackers free lanes to pursue the ball. While this is theoretically the case, you still have to execute. I want you to pay close attention to the backside linebacker and the gap between the center and the right guard. Unless the nose tackle can fully 2-gap this play, meaning he's dominant enough to control both sides of the center while the backside linebacker reads the open gap, then this can be a problem. This play is your classic strong side outside zone run. Pierce will start this play by reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. If he sees the helmet of this defender outside the tight end's frame like he does here, he'll bend this run inside until he finds a hole. Since Pierce has good vision, he can see that the nose tackle got behind his block and there's a clear hole between the center and the right guard. The linebacker on the backside, or number 40 Chase Hansen, is directly responsible for this gap. He incorrectly jumped to the wrong hole, and this is why this gap is open. Pierce then made him pay. He was able to power through, collecting 6 yards. Now, obviously not every run is going to go for 20, but this run shows that Pierce is fundamentally good at reading down the line of scrimmage. He's a running back that is tailor-made for this scheme. He's built for a one-cut zone running team like this one, where you can use his vision to land one cuts, then he uses lower leg drive to power through. He also has the patience to see opening holes and gap plays too. I do think my one main negative Pierce coming out of college was also on display in this game too. I felt like his hip tightness and his footwork wasn't always the best. I feel like he occasionally has to take an extra step here and there, and he's not always the smoothest of cutters. However, I think as a 3rd round running back that weighs at 218 pounds and with his power, I'm more than okay with this trade-off. I'm in the opinion that he's going to steal a lot of carries early in his career. As of this moment, Pierce is the number 3 running back on this roster. While that would normally scare me in a fantasy football setting, the 2 running backs in front of him are Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead. No offense to either of these guys, but Pierce is going to get a lot more playing time simply based on his talent. He's much better than both these players, and I have a strong feeling he's going to end up being the outright starter by the end of the year. I do think he needs to develop his pass protection skills to make this happen, but what I saw in terms of his runnings, albeit in a small sample size, I was sufficiently impressed. If you're a fantasy football fan, keep an eye out for Pierce in the later rounds. He's currently going the 10th or 11th rounds in your standard leagues, and I think he's going to have a great season, especially later on in the year. As a side note, and before we end this breakdown, Pierce was targeted on the play that led to the interception in the middle of the second quarter. I don't think Pierce is fully responsible for the pick, but I don't think he's innocent either. The pass was a bit high where it should have been on his numbers, but I do feel like he drifted at the top of his route. He kind of did a jump backwards thing as opposed to stopping on a dime. This definitely was a tell for the linebacker to jump on the route and break up the throw. The bounce was unlucky as they come, and normally these fall to the ground, but Chase Hansen was able to pick it off. One thing that I did like though was that Pierce was the player who made the tackle to end this play. Really nice effort seeing Chase down the linebacker, and in my opinion, with some cleaner route running, I'm optimistic this won't happen again. Well, that's all I have for you in this breakdown. With the preseason finally here, I'm going to be more frequent with my videos, so make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to support me directly, feel free to follow the link to my Patreon account below. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel R. Gold.